feels were mine.
Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm excited to be here with you, getting into my paycheck to paycheck budget. So what is a paycheck to paycheck budget? It simply means that you are budgeting one paycheck period, all the income you believe is coming in, all the expenses that you believe are coming out, and then track your expenses and track your income as it happens and write down your actuals and come up with a total and see if there's any money left over at the end of that paycheck period. Balance it forward and set up your next paycheck period. So as you can see here, I have all my actuals filled in except for my spending categories. And those numbers I'm going to go ahead and get right now. For our spending categories, I have a little sticky note here. I just wrote the numbers down off of my laptop, and we're just going to copy these. Actually, I'm going to pull my notebook. We're just going to copy these over, and this is the total of week 1 and week 2 of my weekly check-in. So if you add the numbers that I spent with both weeks for each category, that is how I come up with my actuals. And so this first one, I'm gonna have to angle just a little bit here, is $753.68. So we were under budget here, which is good. Now we're over budget what I planned for the restaurants, but by a lot, $536.57. Now with this $300, I give myself $600 for the month. I just split it in half, one for paycheck 1 and the other half for paycheck 2, to equally distribute it throughout the month. Now, what I also did this paycheck period was add $128.13 to restaurants. It doesn't quite cover all of this, but I did use some from next paycheck period. That's fine. We're just going to run the numbers. It works out in the end, so I'm not worried about it. I still have to put the actuals, and the cash is still there in the checking account to pay for it all. Next, we have miscellaneous. Miscellaneous, I have left $125.43. So I see that we are under budget here, almost $25, not quite, but that is really good. Miscellaneous is staying in budget, and I am happy with that. Now, we did go a little over in gas, but that's okay. By the end of the month, it will all even out, and that's fine. So that's $129.72. All right, so copay at $37.50. So whatever I planned for, that had changed. I dropped it down to $70, and $70, I should have put, divided by 2, $35 instead of $37. But I didn't want to change all the numbers, and it doesn't matter anyway. So what we always spent was $13.88. So basically here, I need to take these total amounts and subtract them to the total that I had planned for the entire month. Even though this is half of what the month should have been, I did make changes along the way. So I have to keep that in mind when I make changes like that. I have zero unbudgeted because I wasn't using any money out of the buffer, the checking account, because I need that buffer to go to paycheck 2 in order to cover all the bills and expenses for paycheck 2 as well. So my husband gets paid the 1st of every month. That's where all this income comes from. And then he also gets paid the 15th of every month. Technically, one of his first of the month checks actually hits like the 30th, the last day of the month of the previous month, but because it's the last day, it doesn't apply to anything bill-wise. I just move it to the 1st of the month, and I let it sit there overnight, basically, and it takes care of I call it the 1st of the month check. So he gets 4 checks on the 1st of the month: military retirement, VA disability, our son pays his rent, and his salary check. And if there's anything other, like balancing forward from the previous month to the new month, or refunds or anything like that, money-wise, gets transferred from savings to checking, that goes in this other area, and I usually just make notes about it as it happens. So we are going to go through how much income or transfers of money from savings to checking came in for the month, or I'm sorry, for the paycheck period. Whew, sometimes I can't even keep track of what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to total this up, and I'll be right back. All right, so I have $6,500 and $99.58. I think that's right. Let's see. Okay, so I've added this up several times. Now I think I got it right because it matches my notes. This is $6,609.58. That was the income or transfer from savings money we were working with this month. I did it again. Paycheck period, not month. Oh, I'll get it straight one day. All right, so now that I have the actuals for what actually hit the checking account and deposits, now I come over here and I do the fixed expenses. These are my variable, except for this one, I forgot to add DashPass to the budget. And if you saw my weekly check-in, I talked about that it was actually cheaper because we do use it weekly for me to use DashPass for our delivery of food. Sometimes we go out to eat and sometimes we have it delivered. And many times the reasoning has more to do with can we be out in public because of PTSD symptoms or not, which is something my husband suffers from. So yeah, we do delivery, and then a lot of times it's easier if my sons are home and we're out just to send food and have it delivered, and they get fed for the dinner and they take care of everything else. So there you go. I like doing it that way. But I forgot DashPass, so going forward in the month of September, I should have that as part of our monthly budget. Okay, now, so we're going to start with the expenses here. I'm going to total all these up, and I will be right back. Okay, so here is the balance. $4,154.17. These are the bills that were paid for that came out of the checking account. The water bill went down and Geico went up $2, so or just around $1. Okay, so now that I have my actuals on how much fixed expenses we have, we're going to come over the variable and see what we actually spent here. And this is going to look different than what that has because I have DashPass here because I didn't have room over here. And then we lowered the copay just by a little bit. So let's go ahead and go through the numbers. And obviously we're really high in eating out, so that's going to make it probably larger than this number is. But that's okay. We just need to know what the actual is, so when we move forward, we know what actual money we're working with. All right, I'm showing $1,569.27. Okay, so let's write that total down. All right, so now we can take our $6,609.58. We're going to subtract the $4,154.17 and minus the $1,569.27. Oh, my ink smeared. My fault. All right, so we have $186.14 left over that's being balanced forward into Paycheck 2. So let's go ahead and set up Paycheck 2. And write that number again, $886.14, which is what I have right here. My husband's salary did happen, and I have it written down. Let me go back to it. So on the 15th, my husband got paid $1,348.03. There's always a little fluctuation from paycheck to paycheck, but it's pretty close to what the last one was. The last one was $1,351, and this one's $1,348. So I can probably guesstimate about $1,349.48 would be a good low average to maintain as far as the minimum. But because my husband's getting a pay raise again this month, it was 5% for August increase, and he'll get that first pay on the 30th of the month. then that's going to change again anyway. So I'm just going to wait until I think October, November timeframe to really kind of figure out what the estimated actual would be for his salary paychecks, because they're changing all the time right now. All right, I have no other income that I'm planning on right here. And we're only doing the budgeted column because we're just setting things up. So once the actuals happen, I'll fill them in throughout the week, and then we'll come back together and close out at the end of the month, the budget closeout. So we're going to add that number to the 134803. And that's $2,234.17, which is what my notes say. I'm very happy about that. So now let's go through the list of what we are putting in the budget for the rest of the paycheck period, or the last 2 weeks of the month. Okay, so the first thing we have here is AT&T. AT&T, we budget that, and I think the bill actually says this as well, $285.73. Electric, it's not just the budget. I normally budget $150, but it was a little bit higher, so it's $176.28. I went ahead and put the actual because I knew what the actual was. The first part of the month, I don't know it. Through Paycheck 1, I don't know it. But by the time I get to Paycheck 2, I definitely know it. So I can put that in here. Tithe is our giving to our church every Sunday, or every payday. When my husband gets paid his salary check, that's the tithe to the church. Let's see, and that is $168.18. There's always, like when you do the online stuff, as far as donations, there's always a processing fee. They ask, would you mind paying the processing fee? So I always try to do that and not make the organization do it, because you're giving a gift basically. And so why make them be charged for a gift? That doesn't make sense to me. Life insurance 1 and 2. So 1 is for the family, my husband, and my husband, and my adult son, and that is $87.56. My other adult son aged out of it at 25, and he has his own for $33.16. And when my youngest will age out of it in 4 years, then he will have his own as well. And then my husband's bill is $39.17. Apple.com is $2.99. Oops. There we go. And Vivint is $65.82. So that is all the bills for the budget right now. And that is what we have planned. So let's go ahead and total up how many bills we have, how much we have left in bills for the rest of the month. All right, I am showing $858.89 will cover the rest of the bills for the rest of the month. And these are all auto pay. I don't have to really do anything. The only thing I actually have to do is mail in my water bill. That's the cheapest way I know to do it. So the rest of it is all on auto pay. I might one day ask them, how do I get water on auto pay? But again, I live in kind of a rural area, so their technology is not the best in some of these businesses. So yeah, I might just keep mailing it in. So far, so good. So we're going to do that. The next thing I have is now the rest of our expenses as far as variable spending. So my weekly check, and I know how much I want for the month, and all I have to do is take what was spent already for the month and minus that from what I planned for the month. So like grocery household, we know we already spent $753.68, and that leaves $446.32 left for the rest of the month, and that is the budget that I'm moving forward with. So what I'm going to do is take the numbers I've already written down in the math and then do the total of this one. So that'll make my life easier. $846.32. Now the restaurants, I have $191.92. $1,000,000.53 or 56 cents. And also, I don't even have to do the math. I have this because I'm starting with the number and I'm subtracting down. So yeah, I have the totals right here too. I don't know why I explained it the other way. Both ways work though. $174.57, $120.28, and then $56.12. Unbudgeted is always 0. So let's find out how much this is. All right, we're looking at spending available for the next 2 weeks, $1,388.85. And that gives us $694 per week to get everything that we need: groceries, restaurants, miscellaneous gas, copay, all of that. So we should be okay for the rest of the month in our budget. So our, let's see, budgeted balance forward. I think that's what I wrote. Budgeted balance forward, BFF. BBF. That's what it is. Oh, that's so weird to say. All right, so $2,234.17 minus $858.89 minus $1,388.85. Yep, I knew that was going to happen. So even though I say I have this amount, I don't actually. It's over by $13.57. I do know I want to save in miscellaneous. I don't plan to spend any of that as if necessary. So that's probably going to come out of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and write in red here, $13.57, which matches all my other notes and everything I have. And then at the end of the month, when I close the month out, hopefully I'll be back in the positive number here and have that number as a little bit of buffer or cushion in the checking account. So right now I'm at negative. I know it's $13.57. So I just have to keep that in the back of my mind, not to spend miscellaneous. The other categories I'm good with spending on. I know I'll spend in gas because I usually budget right to what we need for gas. Medical copay, I pretty much kind of can stay on top of it. And even with the vision appointments later this month, if I charge on the credit card, I'll just wait till, and it's like the last day of the month anyway. So it's going into the month of September when I'm actually getting into how am I going to pay for that, as far as the vision and doctor's appointments and new glasses and stuff, because you never know those prices until for sure, and the options you're going to use until you actually do them. So that's going to be saved for September. It'll just sit on the credit card a couple days, and then I'll make my decisions when I go through my budget, and you'll see that next month. So as far as this month's copay, we're good there. The only area we can really save is really the miscellaneous, hopefully some groceries and stuff like that. So we have plenty of miscellaneous to cover this, and I just got to keep that in mind as I go for the rest of the month. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Have an amazing and blessed day. Bye.
We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care.